Are the suttas so important? Why? Oh yes, the suttas are extremely important. When the Buddha was about to pass into Nibbana, somebody asked the Buddha, Bhagava, Lord, after you have passed into Nibbana, whom should we take as our teacher? They probably thought that the Buddha was going to appoint a successor. Instead, the Buddha said, take the Dhamma Vinaya as your teacher. That means our teacher is the suttas and the Vinaya. Because the Vinaya does not concern lay people. So you must take the suttas as your teacher. Because in the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, the Buddha said, if any monk says that such and such is the Buddha's teachings, you don't reject his words, you don't welcome his words, but you compare what he says to be the Buddha's teachings with the suttas. And if it does not agree, you don't accept him. That is why in the second Sangha Council, it was decided that we don't always follow our senior monk. Whatever our senior monk says, if it agrees with the suttas and the Vinaya, we follow him. If he teaches something to us which is not in agreement with the suttas and the Vinaya, we don't follow him. There is a very interesting sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya where the Buddha said, he must be referring to the future, some time like now. The Buddha said, you may have a very senior monk, long gone forth, and very well known, world renowned, for example. And he may be he may have a large following of disciples, monks and nuns or lay person disciples, a huge following of disciples. And he may be very learned in the books. Even such a monk, the Buddha says, can have wrong view. Can have wrong view. So don't think that because such and such a monk is very famous, that everything that he says is correct. Not necessary. You must compare whatever monk says to be the Buddha's teachings with the suttas. If it does not agree with the suttas, then don't follow him. Our only teacher, our one and only teacher is the Buddha. That is why the Buddha told us to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And during the Buddha's time, the Sangha actually referred to the Bhikkhu Sangha. Sometimes, of course, it's mentioned the Aryan Sangha, but more often in the suttas, when a person takes refuge, he says he takes refuge with the Bhikkhu Sangha. Because it's hard to tell who is the Aryan Sangha. Aryan Sangha is like a shadow. You can't tell who is the Aryan Sangha. If you can't tell who is the Aryan Sangha, how can you take refuge with the Aryan Sangha? So during the Buddha's time, they took refuge with the Bhikkhu Sangha. And also because you can't tell who is an Arya, so you have to rely on the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Bhikkhu Sangha. So there are two suttas. After the Buddha passed away, an Arahant was talking to some lay person, and the lay person was so impressed with the Arahant's teaching that he wanted to take refuge with the Arahant. And the Arahant said, no, you can't take refuge with me. You must take refuge only with the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So this man thought the Buddha is alive somewhere. He asked the Arahant, he said, where's the Buddha? I don't mind walking a long distance to take refuge with him. Then the Arahant said, oh, he's entered Nibbana. Even though he's entered Nibbana, you still take refuge with the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So remember, the Buddha said, when he was about to pass into Nibbana, he said, after I'm gone, take the Dhamma Vinaya as your teacher. In other words, the suttas for lay persons, for suttas. So when you take refuge with the Buddha, now it means you take refuge with the suttas. And when you take refuge with the Dhamma, it also means you take refuge with the suttas. When you take refuge with the Sangha, you don't know who is the Sangha, who is the Aryan Sangha, right? So, and the Buddha says, even a famous monk can have wrong view. So the only thing that is reliable is the suttas, the original suttas. And the original suttas are found in the earliest 4 Nikayas. The last Nikaya has 15 books. According to the Burmese, they have 18 books. They added another 3 in 1956. And out of these 15 books, 5 are quite reliable because they are consistent with the earliest 4 Nikayas. But the other 10 books, they have contradictions with the earliest 4 Nikayas. So only 5 books out of the 15 books in the Khuddaka Nikaya, the last Nikaya, is reliable. Other than that, the earliest 4 Nikayas are very reliable because they are very consistent. And you don't hardly find any contradictions. So we should put our effort to study the 4 Nikayas. We are very, very lucky, You could say that you are more lucky than a person who is born during the Buddha's time. Why? Because if you were born during the Buddha's time and you were in India, the chances firstly of meeting the Buddha are very slim, right? Secondly, if you meet the Buddha might come to your kampong and stay for a few days. And after a few days, he may walk away again because the Buddha was always walking all around India. So if you met the Buddha, you might hear the suttas, the discourses from the Buddha for a few days. And after that, you don't see the Buddha again for a long time. The longest time the Buddha would stay in one place is 4 months during the Vasa, rain season. And during 4 months, how much discourses can you hear? I don't think very, very many, right? 4 months times 30 days is 120 days, right? 120 days, how many discourses can you hear? Even if the Buddha were to give a discourse every day, it's about 120 suttas. But now in our Nikayas, we have 5,000 suttas. 45 years of sweat, of the Buddha's sweat, in our 4 Nikayas. And you are able to study all the 5,000 suttas now. So you are more lucky now than somebody born during the Buddha's time, right? And in the suttas, the Buddha said, he looked into the past, and he looked into the past 91 kapas, 91 world cycles. And he saw only 6 Buddhas. Only 6 Buddhas appeared in 91 world cycles. One world cycle is extremely long, the Buddha said, hard to calculate the length of a world cycle. That means on an average, it takes more than 10 world cycles before one Buddha appears. So now, if you don't take the opportunity to study the Buddha's words, on the average, you have to wait for more than 10 world cycles. How many more rebirths before you meet with the Dhamma, right?